Hi, I'm Magic Cyborg and I'm a nerd who makes stuff. A bit of an unusual video today, but one that kinda needs to be made nonetheless. Now a while back, I posted this image, which was made as a little teaser for one of my upcoming projects. Unfortunately though, that project ended up being cancelled. So I wanted to make this video talking about what happened that led up to this decision. And I don't know, maybe this video will be useful to someone out there. So are you ready to be disappointed in me? Well, let's get started. To begin with, I should probably talk about what this project actually is. I called it The Book of Lies. And it's a 3D animated anthology series of famous fairy tales, but each with a horror twist. With the first one being Cinderella. Yeah, that was it. I was just working on a scary version of Cinderella. And the guy on the teaser image is called the Demon Godfather. See what I did there? I wanna die. So I got started on this project somewhere in June of 2023. And it's January now, so that would be roughly 6 months worth of work. Not too shabby, right? Well, the reality is, only 2 of those months actually went into Book of Lies. And that's due to a lot of reasons. Let's start at the beginning. I started out this project by modeling the Demon Godfather. I really need to stop calling him that. Anyway, I was actually quite happy with how he turned out, which gave me a lot of confidence to model all the other characters. But that confidence was short-lived as I found out that modeling the human characters would be a lot harder. I remember going through a lot of iterations before getting something that I liked. I mean, look at this guy. That's a face that only a mother would love. Eventually though, I made this, which isn't perfect, but compared to what came before, this is definitely passable. I then used Cinderella here as a template for the stepmother, those two, and the prince guy. And now that all the characters are finished, I then went on to make the environment. And this is where I made my first mistake. I made a full, finalized version of the environment when I probably should have animated the characters first in a gray box-like environment, and then add detail from there. Doing it this way could have saved me a lot of headache and tweaking. Not that said headache and tweaking actually happened though, I'll talk more about that later. But with the environment and the characters finished, it was finally time to start animating, right? Well, no. This is where I would run into my first big hurdle, and this is also where the 2 months of production would end. So at somewhere toward the end of July, we had an extended family come visit us, and they stayed for an entire week, which meant that I was forced to not work on Book of Lies. Now the optimist in me thought that I would get right back to work after this little break was over, but that's not what ended up happening. I don't know if it was because the sweet release of taking a break was just too hard to let go, or the whole week worth of socializing just completely drained my energy. If I have to guess, the answer is likely both. But, while I didn't put time into this project, I ended up putting time into another, as it was around the time that my extended family left when Clint, aka Pwnisher, had announced a new 3D render challenge. I've submitted to a couple of these challenges now and I've had a blast every time I've done so. And with a theme like boss fight, I just couldn't pass it up. Now you might be thinking, Magic Cyborg, you freaking idiot, why did you start a new project when you were clearly in the middle of one? Well, my only real justification was that this gave me a chance to finally upload something on my YouTube channel, you know, while you guys waited for Book of Lies. So upon watching Pwnisher's video on the rules and everything, he introduced a software called Cargo, which is basically an asset library that you have on your desktop. Now this video is not sponsored by Cargo, but it did help me out quite a bit with getting this little project done. So why is this relevant? Well, it's because Cargo made me realize that I made another mistake with Book of Lies. And that's making everything from scratch. Everything you see here was hand modeled by myself. Now, let me make it clear that there's nothing wrong with making everything from scratch. In fact, doing so can grant you a lot of bragging rights. But just know that doing so takes a lot of time. If I had looked into using assets, I could have saved myself a lot of time. Not to mention, it would have just made for a better result. I mean, look at these two side by side. On the left is Book of Lies, and on the right is the boss fight submission. It took me a lot more time to make this than it did to make this, which, not gonna lie, felt very discouraging. But whatever, with my boss fight submission completed and uploaded to YouTube, I can finally get back to work on Book of Lies. Except I can't, as college has now started. It probably goes without saying, but college definitely ate up a lot of my time. But hey, I have little chunks of free time. I could maybe fit in some work here and there. I mean, it's not the most ideal pace of progress, but if I get consistent enough with utilizing my free time, then... Okay, maybe now is a good time to explain the real reason why I couldn't find motivation to complete this project. So the whole point of Book of Lies was to practice getting good at animation, with each new episode being a different art style and presenting some sort of new challenge. But here's the thing. I don't want to be an animator, I want to be a game developer, which you probably would never have guessed apart from that one video I made. Also, I made a couple of friends at college who also aspire to be game developers, and I want to say that I relate to them, but because of this project, I feel like I've been falling behind. Also, I just feel like I've been pouring all this time and energy into something that I do have fun with, but something that I'm not truly passionate about. Which ultimately led to the final decision to cancel Book of Lies. So there you have it. That's why this project was ultimately cancelled. I'm sorry if I had disappointed any of you who were excited to see this, but the whole point of this video wasn't to necessarily defend myself, but to provide some insight and maybe a lesson or two. So the question is, what now? Well, lately I've been trying to figure out how to use Godot, which, if you don't know, is a game engine, and a game engine is used to make video games. I was going to use Unity, but they decided to set their company on fire, so Godot it is. Once I start getting the hang of Godot, which might be a long while, I kinda want to try to upload some game dev related content on this channel, so be on the lookout for that. One more thing, you've probably noticed that I'm adding the avatar to the videos now. I'm officially a PNG tuber. People don't hate them anymore, right? Well, regardless, I would like to hear your thoughts. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think it could be improved? Please let me know. And I guess that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching and have an amazing day.